Varadari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotra Sadashri Srimad Abhaya Caranaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 19. Chapter is titled King Yayati Achieves Liberation. We will read first text 7 and then we'll go to text 8. Text 7. Tam yeva prastata maya ramamanam ajanaya vilokya kupa samvigna namrishyed bhashtakarmatat. Translation. When the she-goat who had fallen into the well saw her beloved goat engaged in sexual affairs with another she-goat, she could not tolerate the goat's activities. Text 8. Now we can repeat. Tam duhridam suhrit rupam kaminam kshanasauhridam indriya aramam utsrijya swaminam dukhita yayau tam duhridam suhrit rupam tam duhridam suhrit rupam kaminam kshanasauhridam kaminam kshanakshauhridam indriyaramam utsrijya indriyaramam utsrijya Swaminam Dukkitayayau. Swaminam Dukkitayayau. Tam Dukhridam Suhrutrupam. Kaminam Kshana Sauhridam. Indriyaramam Utsrijya. Swaminam Dukkitayayau. Matajis. Tam, him, the he-goat. Duhridam, cruel-hearted. Suhrit Rupam, pretending to be a friend. Kaminam, very lusty. Kshana Sauhridam, having friendship for the time being. Indriya Aramam, interested only in sense gratification or sensuality. Utsrijya, giving up. Swaminam, to her present husband or to the former maintainer. Dukhita, being very much aggrieved. Yayav, she left. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of ISKCON. Translation. Aggrieved by her husband's behavior with another, the she-goat thought that the he-goat was not actually her friend, but was hard-hearted and was her friend only for the time being. Therefore, because her husband was lusty, she left him and returned to her former maintainer. Purport. The word Swaminam is significant. Swami means caretaker or master. Devayani was cared for by Sukracharya before her marriage, and after her marriage, she was cared for by Ayati. But here, the word Swaminam indicates that Devayani left the protection of her husband, Ayati, and returned to her former protector, Shukracharya. Vedic civilization recommends that a woman stay under the protection of a man. During childhood, she should be cared for by her father, in youth by her husband, and in old age by a grown son. In any stage of life, a woman should not have independence. Namo Vishnupataya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnupataya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyad Deshtarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhunityananda Shri Advaita Kadadara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Again text 8 Tam Duhridam Suhrit Rupam Kaminam Kshanasauhridam Indriyaramam Utsrijya Swaminam Dukkitayayav. Translation is, aggrieved by her husband's behavior with another, the she-goat thought that the he-goat was not actually her friend, but was hard-hearted and was her friend only for the time being. Therefore, because her husband was lusty, she left him and returned to her former maintainer. Hare Krishna. So we are continuing with this chapter number 19 of the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in this chapter, it is described how King Ayati, Maharaja Ayati, actually achieved liberation. And what he is doing in all these verses which we saw previously and after some more verses also, is that he is recounting his own life. He is recounting how his life was by giving a figurative story. The figurative story is the story between he-goat and she-goat. That's what we are seeing it along. So he is giving a figurative story to understand that how miserable his life was. But it became fruitful when he understood that all these activities or all his advances or whatever he was doing in his life for thousands of years were all null and void. It didn't help him anyway to achieve the goal of life. So he understood that, and later in the verses in the same chapter we will find that he understood the importance of engaging in devotional service, and thereby he achieved liberation. So these are all very important topics for the current, the current need of the hour, we can say, of how this entire world is functioning. Today we can see that the lust quotient, we can call the lust quotient, is ever increasing every day by day. Be it sensuality, be it for fame, be it for money, be it for anything else, the entire mantra or whatever the objective of people in general is that the do more, get more, be happy more, that more is coming into the lifestyle of many of the people. So Srimad Bhagavatam actually brings in some sanity in our life. How it brings sanity in our life is that it tells us that how a life should be led, how it has to be run, how it has to be made more fruitful, by giving all these figurative stories. Many such stories are there in Srimad Bhagavatam, but this is also very important today. How the entire world is behind this lustful way of life, how this entire sensuality has been advertised here in a very glorious way. These are all very important to understand for the modern man. So these kind of chapters should be propagated more wide and open for all these people, that after being engaged in sensuality for very many years, people are not happy. People are not getting what they wanted, or what they came for, they are not getting it anyway. So this is how it actually helps them in understanding that it's all phantasmagoria. It's all up in the air, that somebody thought, oh, it'll be very nice, what I'm doing, it'll be grateful, it'll be very enjoying. But after some time, they are not having the intelligence to even understand that it is not fruitful, it is not giving them any pleasure. So that is the intelligence what you require. So here, that's what we find in Ayati's case, that he understood that, there is no material happiness here. He got disgusted. He understood that, no, there is no material happiness here in this way. And what happened, the entire entanglement was because of the sexual attraction between man and woman. And that's again the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Rishabhadev explains very clearly that Pumsa Striya Mithuni Bhavametam. What is this actual attraction between Pumsa and Striya? Is this Mithuni Bhava, that they have this attraction for sexual attraction. And what it does actually, Tayor Mito Hridaya Grandhi Mahur. That what it does is it makes a very deep knot in the Hridaya Grandhi. And what is this knot actually doing it? That's the knot which we identify, that he is my husband, she is my wife. And that is how the knot becomes much more very strong by over a period of time. And what is the byproduct of that knot? That is the third line. What it says is, Ato Graha Kshetra Sutapta Vidhir. That because now the knot has been tied, now the other byproducts have to come. That, house, son, kids, wealth, all these things have to come. So that's what the next natural progression, as they say, natural progression. That's the next natural progression. And what happens? This all happens because of janasya mohoyam aham mameti. So where it all started, because of aham mameti, janasya mohom. All the people are so moha, it's all in illusion. They think that it's because of aham mameti, it's me, mine, my wife, my house, my property, my son, me and mine. This is what Srila Prabhupada used to say, it's me and mine consciousness. It's all about where I'll get everything what I wanted. But actually what happens is that the first line says very clearly that the sexual attraction between man and woman, pumsastriya maituni bhavametam, that sexual attraction between man and woman, that actually serves the entire purpose that, that is the enticement. The enticement is there, and unknowingly or knowingly, both man and woman get into this deep knot, which they don't know how to come out of. So this is the, again, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport of the same verse, that this entanglement, which we ourselves have got into, is very, very difficult to undo. It's very, very difficult to undo. And, many people before us, many people after us are going to try untangling this knot, but, they were never successful, and they are never going to be successful also. So, this is the thing. And again, Srila Prabhupada writes in the same purport, that even by force, or even by the act of providence, that the man and woman separates, either by varnashrama or by even divorce, still this attraction between man and woman is not going to subdue. It's not subduing. We forcefully separate ourselves, or even by the institution called varnashrama, still it becomes very difficult for even old people, or even old man, or even old women to reduce the sensuality or become more focused on all this, that this material happiness is useless. No, it's not happening. The problem is, actually, it's because of the processor. The processor is tuned. The processor in our mind is tuned here. That a man should get attracted towards a woman, and a woman should get attracted towards a man. There's no other way that this processor can be tuned against it. And this is what exactly happens. And because of this tuning of the processor, everything else comes in. The entire economy is functioning because of that. If you actually take for an example that, if this processor is not tuned in this way, that there is no, that the extreme attraction between man and woman, how this entire world would have been, how this entire economics would have been. The entire economics is running based on this attraction only. Why people go and earn more? Because of family, because they want more sex. And why do they want to build their apartments, luxurious apartments? Same thing. And why do they actually go and earn more again for getting more kids, for their education, for their betterment, and so on? And why? What do the entire things, the entire scheme of things, what you see around your world, the material world, is all because of this economics of sexual attraction. Everything else is because of that. If it was not there, the entire economics would have fallen down. So the more and more economical development, as they say, economical development, as they say in the West, is only because the development of sexual attraction. That is why they completely reject the spirituality or the spiritual consciousness. If the spiritual consciousness has been developed in any of the general mass, then the economic development will not happen. Say people who are coming and staying in the ashram, what they have come, they don't want to have an economical development. So they have left everything and come and join the ashram. So the economical multiplier, or what they call the multiplier of the economy, because of them, is not going to happen. So like that, if say even 10% of the population becomes like that, they become mendicants, they become completely sadhus or something, think about the economy of the country, think about the economy of the world. So they will never allow you to get the spiritual consciousness at all, because the spiritual consciousness is an anathema to this economical development. So they will never allow. So the entire structure has been created in such a way that this economical development will only happen if there is attraction between man and woman. So this is the entire data, everything shows the same thing. So the attachment, that's what Hridaya Grandhi Rahur. So the attachment comes there. The attachment for what? Property. The attachment for everything what we have earned, for what we have accumulated for. And Srila Prabhupada again quotes in some other place that even the attachment is there for even a renounced man, even for a sannyasi, that he gets attached to a mata or attached to a property what he has developed, or attached to a center where he has preached, or build a temple where he has built himself all this big temple. He gets attached to it. But definitely that attachment is different or little subdued than the attachment of the family and other things. Because for selfish reasons, that you cannot even think anybody else to be a part of your grand Vasudeva Kutumbakam. You'd never be able to see that. Because you are attached to the both family, man and woman is attached so much that it's very difficult for her to get attached for an overall cause. So it becomes very difficult. So this is the story which we are seeing here, where the entire story you must all have heard in the last previous verses, that King Ayati describes to Devayani about his own life, that how he was more attracted towards his dear wife, and how it all went that she understood that he was having some infidelity, where she went back to his Shukracharya, thinking very, very remorsed that this man is not trustworthy. And then the Brahmana curses him that he will lose all his sexual power. I mean, that is the real curse if somebody can get. So he could not take it. So he went and pleaded back to him, oh no, please help me. You cannot give this kind of curse to me. So he went and pleaded there and got his curse revoked. And what he did for thousands of years, he was enjoying the sexual activity. And that is what he is figuratively telling here, how the she-goat and she-goat becomes completely close, and then they become completely resent against one another because the he-goat is having some infidelity. So all these things come up as a figurative story here. Now, what happens here is that in this verse, today's verse, there are two important words which are very good, just been quoted here is Dukhridam, another is Sukhrit Rupam. Dukhridam is cruel-hearted. Srila Prabhupada translates as cruel-hearted, Dukhridam. And the other one is Sukhrit Rupam. So, pretending to be a friend. So, both the things are interconnected. What happens is that everyone, when the attraction is first there, they misunderstand that everybody is Sukhrit Rupam. Yes, this man is my Sukhrit Rupam. He is the best friend I have got. This is the best companion I have got. And this is what happened, entire my life will be blissful. So that's how the Sukhrit Rupam attachment comes in. And over a period of time, what happens, they learn by providence or even by their own experience, they understand that the same person for which the entire life they want to spend, they become Dukhridam. They become cruel-hearted. They are not the same person whom we thought 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or when he was young, when she was young. It's not the same person. The person has changed. He has become Dukhridam. So this is what the entire thing happens here. So what happens today is that divorce happens or separation. Like here, what she did, because the system was not there to go to a court and file for divorce. What she did, Devayani went to her father's place. Today we have this option of divorce, go to a court, get separated, get the money separated, get the assets separated, get the kids separated. It was not there before. So what happened is, okay, chalo, let me go to my father's place. This is what she did. And today, that's what is happening in the entire West, that when you give the option of having this divorce, having this living a separated life, the whole world becomes a mess. Single parentage in the West is a big problem, single parentage. That many of these kids who are born, more than 1/3 of the kids who are born today in the US are all for single parent. And more than 38% of the kids who are born are out of wedlock. Which means that many of these kids who are born out of wedlock are below the age of 15. Mother is below the age of 15. So where is this entire, the advertisements and the gloriousness of a happy, great Western culture, the pinnacle of civilization, human civilization, where it is leading to? It is leading to single parentage. It is leading to complete mess. The kids who are being developed by a single parent, single mother or single father are completely becoming astray and becoming Varna Sankara. This is what Arjuna says in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So what happens is this exactly how the entire world or entire Western civilization is really struggling. And what happens again, the same thing, the divorce rates are very, very high. Why? Because there is no restriction. There is no like an institution called marriage. There is no social pressure to become together. So what happens is the entire divorce is happening and everybody becomes, and these people are becoming a burden to the government only. At the end of the day, they are going to become burden because they are not going to go back to their father's place or going to their mother's place or something. Because that place never exists, because they are also single. Their father and mother are also single. Their father and their grandfathers are also single. So where will they go? They don't have any other place to go. So the family as a system has completely collapsed because of that. So when the family has collapsed, what happens? Then the entire social crisis happens. What is a social crisis? Crime rates increase. Exploitation against women increases. The crimes against weaker sex happens. So the problem today is that it's all interconnected. Today the problem, the so-called administrators don't think is that it's all interconnected. That is why the Vedic system was much more cordial for a happy social life, for a very good civilization to develop. Because there was a social pressure that there should be an institution called marriage to be instituted. When that marriage as an institution gets collapsed, then the entire byproducts or entire things that becomes collapsed and the social crisis happens. And it all happens because of the same word. What is explained again here is Indriya Aramam. Indriya Aramam is only interested in sense gratification or sensuality. The entire activity or the entire focus of life, it's like a dog or any animal which is living in this entire world. It gets up in the morning and what it searches for, only sensuality, only sense gratification. Does a dog know anything other than what is sense gratification? Never. It will never be able to understand. And the same way human beings are living. When they get up in the morning until the night, or even they don't sleep at the night, the entire 24 hours, what they are thinking is only thing about sensuality, sense gratification. So Indriya Aramam, and it is what is happening, it's that's not giving them the pleasure also. And that is where all this infidelity happens. They jump partners, they change partners, they change everything and see nothing is working. So all these stories, what they say, nothing has changed in this world. This Srimad Bhagavatam was written 5,000 years ago. And these stories or these incidents would have happened even millions of years ago. King Yayati, ruled many, many thousands of years ago. And what happened during that time is what is happening even today. What has changed? Nothing has changed. Indriya Aramam has not changed. Sukrit Rupam has not changed. Or even the Kaminam has not changed. That even the lusty feelings have not changed. Nothing has changed. So the only thing, again, the Srimad Bhagavatam explains to us is that the only thing what we have to do is we have to change our mindset. What is a change in mindset? From the mindset of, Indriya Icha, what I only want to satisfy my Indriya, what we have to turn towards satisfying Krishna. Once you surrender to your senses, you are not happy. Then why don't you at least try surrender to Krishna? It might be happier. Why don't you try it out? This is what the entire movement of this Krishna consciousness Srila Prabhupada built. That, give an opportunity for the entire people. The entire people are suffering. All the masses are suffering. Why they are suffering? Because they don't know where to search for happiness. That's why they are suffering. And this is exactly what happens. Even from the next few verses, you will understand that, the men and women who are all designed, or as I told, the processor has been tuned in such a way that they have to get attracted, they have to come closer, like a pot of butter and a fire. Pot of butter and fire, how far you keep it away from one another, and once they become closer, they will completely react. They will have a chemical reaction. That chemical reaction has to happen. And this is what Srimad Bhagavatam, again, Narada Muni instructs Yudhishthira Maharaj. What he instructs the same thing. Nanu Agni Pramata Nama. Nanu Agni Pramata Nama. And what is the next line? What he says is, Grita Kumbha Samapuman. So the man, Grita Kumbha, he is actually like a pot of butter, clarified butter. Grita Kumbha Parampuman, Samapuman. And who is the Agni? Agni is Pramada. And what happens here? And the third line also he is quoting, this is how it is. The entire system is like this. Women is like a fire, and man is like a pot of clarified butter. And so they should always be keep separated. Sutamapi raho jahyat, they should always be separated. And when they should be at least, if there is any important thing, only because anyada yava dartakrit, only for any special circumstances where there should be something which has to be happening, then they have to come together. Otherwise, the pot of butter and Agni should always be kept away. They should never come closer. And the beautiful thing what Srila Prabhupada translates for the word pramada in that verse is that he writes the woman. Pramada, the woman. And in bracket he writes, one who bewilders the mind of man. One who bewilders the mind of a man. Yes, woman bewilders the mind of a man. Yeah, today that also happens. A man is also bewildering the mind of a man. A woman is bewildering the mind of a woman. That's also happening. It's not a joke. Today the things have gone to such an extreme that there is a big movement in the West that they are asking for what they call quota for this kind of people. That in a police force, that you should have a separate kind of people. Said today what happens when you go to a police station, there will be something called men police and women police. Why is the men police are there? So that they can catch men and women can catch the women criminals. Now they are asking that why don't we have a separate police station for these kind of people where man is getting attracted to man and woman is getting attracted to women to catch them. So where it will end? You cannot even end anywhere. You will have, say, then everywhere you have to have them. So it's a social disorder. It's called the social disorder. It will never end because that's because of there is no restrictions on sensuality. There is no restriction here. The man has tried everything. He has tried multiple partners. He is not happy. He has tried his own. He has tried having sexual attraction with another man also. He is not happy. And he goes to the extreme of having some sexual attraction towards animals also. So how degraded we have become. The degradation is only because of unrestricted sex. The modern fallacy is that allow the human beings to be free. Let them do whatever they want to do. It will never happen. Where is a very sane man, where he has become very sane to understand that it's not leading me anywhere good for me? Nobody is going to understand. So the only way by which all these things can be controlled is by an institution called marriage, or what we have to do is that we have to understand that the basic restraining principle should be there in place. Where in a society women or men are kept separate, there is some restraining force there called the social pressure. And if it is not done, unrestricted, unbridled horse is always very difficult to hold. When a horse is unbridled, how can you control the horse? You cannot control it. It will go haywire. And but this is the exact thing that, even the very, very intelligent man or even a vidwan can also be easily swayed away by this attraction of a woman. It's very difficult. That's why restriction should be there. Again, in 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we again see the Kashyapa Muni's example, where by his artificial pretenses, Diti was able to attract Kashyapa Muni. Even though he was a vidwan, he was a very, very learned man. He knows what is life, what is the goal of life. Even he was swayed away by the attraction of his own wife. So it's very, very difficult. And that's the famous verse which Srila Prabhupada often used to quote, Matra Svarshastu Kaunteya. Matra Svarshastu Duhitrava. That Navi Avikshane, that never you should be able to even sit closer with your own sister or your daughter. Indriyani Balavan Grama. That the Indriya is very, very strong. Vidvan api karshati. That even a vidwan will be very, very swayed away by the attraction of the opposite sex. So we should be very, very careful in this. That's why, and what it word karshati in that word says agitates. Vidvan api karshati. Even a vidwan who is a very learned man is getting agitated by just sitting closer to a woman who is his own mother or even his daughter or sister. So what to say of an unrelated woman or unrelated man sitting or coming closer to women and man? It will be very difficult actually. So, this is the thing, that the modern fallacy is that once we become more civilized, then we will be able to manage our life better. Where is the proof? Where is the data showing? Where is the proof that the modern civilization is actually leading to a civilized life? It is not leading to a civilized life. It is leading to more and more uncivilized life. And there is no end to a gratification. Today, what happens is, in this the so-called Nordic countries, the Nordic countries means Sweden, Finland, and all these countries are considered to be countries where the so-called happiness quotient is much more higher. Every year there is a United Nations releases data that which are the citizens of which countries are very happy. And if you see, most of them, the Nordic countries tops the list. And why do they top the list? If you go to any of these Nordic countries, you will find that, there it's even worse than many of these Western countries of Europe or even America, that there's unbridled sex there. Even in the park, even on a roadway, even on a pathway, everywhere there's unbridled sex there. So people, what they think happiness is having more sex is what much more happier I am. So it's not, this is the pinnacle of human civilization. This is the civilization which is called unbridled sex. And unbridled, anything is not controlled. Man is free to do what he wants to do. Man is free to become like a pigs and dogs. He can live whatever he wants to live. That is not leading us anywhere. And nobody is like Maharaja Yayati, that they come to their senses to understand, yes, I am suffering. I am suffering. Why don't I find a solution for all these problems? They are not that much intelligent. They are not that much intelligent. So this propaganda of this, false sense of sense gratification and being happier is all, as I told you before, is because for the so-called economic development. Otherwise, the entire economy will collapse. So they will never allow, even if you go and propagate that there is a huge problem in your society, that they will never accept, because the economic development will not happen. People will become not that greedy. People will not earn more. People will not build houses. People will not build luxurious apartments. So everything will fall off. So this is the entire thing, that as a marriage, as an institution, is very, very important, and there should be some social pressure for it. And what happens is that even how much endeavor we do, it's very, very difficult by force to bring our senses under control. Yatato api kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, purushasya vipaschitaha. Even the best person who has the best knowledge to differentiate, vipaschitaha, who is able to differentiate between what is good, what is bad, what needs to be done, what need not be done. Purushasya vipaschitaha. Yatato api kaunteya. He is endeavoring very, very hard that I don't want to engage in the sense gratification. I don't want to get entangled in this entire thing. Even then what happens? Indriyani pramadini. That what happens is the indriya, the senses are every day, every moment overpowering him. Pramadini, overpowering him. Again and again overpowering him. And what happens? Haranti prashabam manaha. And what it does, it drags the mind into all these kind of activities. So what is the solution then? Bhagavad Gita, so this is how people, Bhagavad Gita itself has told that no, it's very difficult, so let us all enjoy. This is not, what is the solution? Bhagavad Gita gives you solution also. Bhagavatam gives solution also. What it does, yehi samparshaja yoga, dukkha yona evate. So how much you engage in the sense gratification, you will not be happy. Adyantavanta kaunteya, nateshu ramate buddha. That the one who is intelligent will never be happy by engaging in this samparshaja bhoga. That by engaging in this again and again in the sensual activities, he has never been happy. Why he is not happy? Because he is self-satisfied. He is self-satisfied in serving the Lord. He is self-satisfied in engaging in devotional service. And he knows that that is the transcendental pleasure. The transcendental pleasure is much more stable than your material pleasure, which is more unstable. That's what he understands that. Ramante yogino anante. Satyananda chitatmani. So what the real happiness, Satyananda. And chitatmani. Chit means always, it's ever blissful. For the atmani, for the soul. Ramante yogino anante. The yogi has really understood that the real pleasure is that he has to be self-satisfied, Atma Rama. That's what again comes in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So how to become self-satisfied, how to become completely engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, and what it comes, Param Brahma Abhidiyate. That's the line. What it says is that once you achieve the Param Brahma, you'll always be happier. You'll be eternally blissful. Not these kind of he-goat, she-goat activities which we engage from day to day. So all these stories of Srimad Bhagavatam tells us the same point. It comes to the same point that Yehi Samparshaja Bhoga's point, that you are not going to be happy. The only way by which you can be happy is just surrender to the Supreme Personality of God, Sri Krishna, and serve Him selflessly without you need to do anything in this life. The entire objective of this life is to just surrender to Him and serve Him. And why this, they used to write that the whole, Srila Prabhupada built the entire house where the whole world can live. Why he built such a house that the whole world can live? Because then people can understand that, they can live peacefully, blissfully by just serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead and not serving their own senses. And that is how the entire system has also been created. From morning, from Mangalarti, from chanting, from hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, taking Krishna Prasad only, and then serving the Lord throughout the day, coming back again for the Arati, dance in front of the Lord, hear Bhagavad Gita, get the association of the devotees. Where is the question of Samparshaja Bhoga? There is no question here. So the only question is surrender and do some devotional service to the Lord. And that is where life will be blissful. And that is exactly what Maharaja Yati also understood after engaging in all the Samparshaja Yoga for thousands of years. So we are all very fortunate that we came under the auspiciousness or the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his disciples and devotees, that we are able to understand at a very, very apt part of our life. So we have to be much more careful that we don't lose this wonderful opportunity. Once we lose this wonderful opportunity, then it becomes very, very difficult to even understand. You can think of the entire world. See the common man who are walking on the road. Even though you want to teach him, you are his sukrida, you want to tell him that this is not good for you, he is not able to understand. How can an animal understand it? He won't be able to understand. So our humble request is that we follow what Srila Prabhupada has given us, and that is a sure way to get success in this life. Otherwise, we will be having this entire problem of living like he-goat and she-goat, as we see in the stories of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. Any questions, any suggestions? Yeah. Yes, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, and we are all, he wants us to be the role models for the society. He wants us to be the role models for the society. That's why our own Krishna, our own community, our own people who are living here should also understand this, that how to control their senses, how to follow the institution, how to follow the rules and regulations, how to become the role models for the society at large is also very important, because we are representing this organization, we are representing the society, which Srila Prabhupada really endeavored to build. And it's very easy to just disintegrate it, but we should actually continue this wonderful opportunity. Yes. 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 Yeah, that's true. See, actually, if you see the data, see, one good thing in US is that they have very, very detailed data analysis. They have the data census. And what it shows, the point is getting substantiated by data also, that the economical development or the poverty, the people, the single parent, the kids who grew from a single parent, either mother or father, are generally on a scale on a much more larger poverty than a normal family-oriented kid. That's the data is also showing. It's a big struggle. That is why this marriage as an institution was there in Vedic civilization. For the upliftment of the kid, for the, psychologically, physically, materially, everywhere, marriage as an institution is the only panacea. So the data again shows the same thing. If you go and see the US data, it shows very clearly that many of these kids who are all single-parent kids, they are really struggling economically. They are they are living their lives with the government doles. They are living their lives with most of the way in which the government is helping them. There is no way, because psychologically you are affected. There is no way that they can be brought up very nicely. The family atmosphere is very important for a kid. That is where, on the same data, what it shows, which actually I saw a long time back, I don't know what is the current status, maybe 2-3 years back I saw, the Asians who are living in US, the 36% of the entire US population, kids who are born of a single parent. And they also did it through race. Hispanics are having close to 38%. The Afro-Americans are having more to 55%. And then what happens is the Asians are only 8%. So which means the culture is coming. The culture which has been there in Asia, which we presume in India, Pakistan, or whatever, Asia, China, whatever it is. All these things are actually, the culture is there, the family culture is there. Even there is some misunderstanding, even there is some hiccups or there is some difficulty, husband and wife try to put together for the kid. That is the Asian culture. So those kids are in a better way. Today, even if you see, the Asian kids are actually in a better position economically than the white kids or the Afro-American kids in the US. So it's all, their own data shows that there is a problem, but still they would not accept, because the entire economy is connected to this, what I call sensuality. So they cannot do it. Hare Krishna. Yes. Yes. Yeah, sensuality, yeah. That's true. The entire, that's the institution they are building. We want to institute a Vedic institution. They want to build an animalistic institution. It's a fight between us and them. Anyway. Hare Krishna. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.